The accordion is one of the most misunderstood instruments. In the West, it can often be seen as a visual gag, something that's commonly dismissed for laughs. But throughout South America, Europe, and even further east, the instrument holds an essential part of the cultures there. Its spread west often came with waves of immigrants who took the instrument with them as they sought better opportunities elsewhere. Today, accordions and other instruments in the free reed family are manufactured all over the world, from Argentina to Germany, Russia, China, even North Korea. But no place does it quite the same as the artisanal craftsmen and women of Italy.
Yes, the birthplace of ballet, opera, and fascism is a powerhouse manufacturing some of the finest accordions in the world, and the majority of these factories are all located in a small town in the east near the coast of the Adriatic Sea. Every accordionist knows of this place, and many aspire to visit it one day. When it came time for me to upgrade my own instrument, I knew it was my turn to visit the mecca of the accordion world, Castelfidardo. So come along. Join me on this journey halfway around the world as I search for the perfect accordion. After several delays, I arrived in Florence with my bag nowhere to be found. I was told that the airline had misplaced it in transit and that I would have to return to the airport the next day to check again. At that point, I was too tired to even be upset and felt resigned to the fact that I would spend yet another day in my traveling clothes. By mid-afternoon, I returned to the airport and was met with good news. It seemed my luck was finally turning. Finally, with my bag and another cup of coffee, it was time to hit the road.
I was told that the drive would be about 3 or 4 hours by car on a good day, and having never seen Italy before, I figured driving would be the right idea. I arrived in Castelfidardo at about 7 p.m. and made my way to Hotel Parco, a former accordion factory turned hotel. When I was researching this trip, it was the #1 accommodation that everyone kept mentioning as the place to stay. The building once housed the Crucianelli factory, which operated up until the 1970s until a fire forced it to close down. After a remodeling, it was turned into a hotel, and given its history, it seemed like a must-see. Complete with accordions to pick up and play in the lobby. To me, it was like staying in the Vatican. Imagine my surprise when I arrived only to find that it had been closed down for good. The feeling in that moment that I experienced was like being too late to a party or coming into something at the very end. The good times were already over. It was done. And it was only just now, as I've been sitting here thinking about what to do, that I found out that the Buffetti accordion factory right here in town had burned down as well. This is a holocaust. It took some time to find a place to stay, but eventually I found an apartment that was available for the time I was in town. It's a far cry from the 4-star experience of Hotel Parco with the magic of the accordion in every room, but it was much better than sleeping on the street or in my car. After the emotional roller coaster ride of getting here and the last couple days entirely, it was time to wind down and get some rest. Tomorrow was sure to be another long day.
The morning began with a euphoric rush that felt like more than just the coffee. I woke up and immediately felt it. I was here. Mormons have Zion, Russian oligarchs have Dubai, and accordionists have Castelfidardo. After the bumps of yesterday, I was ready to start things right by seeing some of the famous sights of the city. One name synonymous with Castelfidardo is Paolo Soprani. In 1860, he was just a young man living on the family farm when one night, a pilgrim passed through and asked to stay on his way to a local shrine. The family agreed, and as a way to say thanks after dinner, the pilgrim played a song for them on an instrument that none of them had ever seen before. It particularly fascinated Paulo and caught his attention. It was said that the instrument was an early version of the accordion, and before passing on his way the next day, the pilgrim gifted this instrument to Paulo, who immediately took interest in figuring out how it worked. He took it apart, and in learning the configurations, he began trying to make his own. It didn't take him long to come up with his own ideas, and he began making more and more models that he sold in towns and festivals and fairs all around. Thus, it was the birth of the Italian accordion industry. Today, there are more than 30 accordion factories in and around Castelfidardo, and I hope to visit a few as I look for the perfect accordion.
Victoria is a name well known in the accordion world, as they have been producing the instruments for over 100 years. They only had one B system in the showroom, and it was as of yet unfinished, but it was a start. After fumbling around for a while on the unfamiliar keyboard, it was time to check out Maxime's group, a collective of 4 large manufacturers that trace their roots all the way back to Paolo Soprani. It was here that the difficulty of my search appeared in full. Despite a well-stocked showroom, there weren't any flagship models in the B system. Nevertheless, I took the chance to try what they did have in case I was impressed enough to make an order.
Back home, it was easy to find piano accordions. They were everywhere. But when trying to find any sort of chromatic model, I was told time and time again, you've got to go to Italy. Even then, the C system is much more popular here than the B system, what I play. Trying to find an Eastern European style accordion in Italy, it's a bit like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Of all the accordions I had seen so far, had I already come face to face with the perfect one? What did it need to be perfect? What did I need? I remember when I first wanted to begin learning accordion. I was sitting on a bus when one day, seemingly unprompted, this wave of emotions and memories started crashing into me. I had always had some interest in the instrument, and now seemed like a better time than any in my life to finally pursue it. I felt like in my childhood I had always known that I wanted to learn it, but the opportunity wasn't there, and slowly the desire began to fade away. But it was never truly gone. I was living in Russia at the time, where the instrument is held in quite high regard. Several years passed where I studied in a music school when the war broke out. As I was gathering my things and preparing to leave the country, my teacher asked me if I was planning to bring the instrument with me. The question nearly broke my heart. At that point, it had become so incredibly important to me that words could hardly even begin to describe it. Playing an accordion is a pretty special experience. It's not the only instrument I've ever tried to learn, but it's completely different than anything I've ever tried. As you hold it close to your body as you play, it's like you're locked in a dance with the voice of the old world. The instrument that I first started learning on is the same one that you would have seen in any of my other videos, an old Tula model. It's pretty basic, lacking registers and with only 3 rows, but despite the metallic rumbling sound and some notes not even sounding correctly, and most of them being more or less out of tune, I love it. It's older than I am. I was told when I got it that it had once been used in a traveling folk band and traveled all across Russia. It seemed like a fitting way to start. But the instruments that I've seen here in my time visiting showrooms and other accordion shops, it's like a completely different level, a different instrument almost. And it does beg the question, how will I know the perfect accordion when I see it? How does anyone know? To tell you the truth, I won't know until I hear it and feel it for myself. But the modern accordion is certainly a wonder, with traditional craftsmanship combined with contemporary conveniences. No trip to Castelfidardo would be complete without a visit to the Accordion Museum. Right now, I'm walking to Town Hall, where in the old cells,
there is one of the most exquisite collections of accordions of the past to date. It was here that I hoped to find further guidance. Despite my current limitations, the options all around me still seemed endless. I had hoped that, perhaps in looking at the accordions of the past, I could somehow find inspiration for my own future. Inside, I was met with a collection that exceeded my expectations. More than simply early versions of the instrument, the museum had everything, including examples from the accordion's more experimental era. There were weird arrangements of the left hand, right, both. Some that didn't even work but were just inspired, like this one based on a Da Vinci schematic, or this nativity-themed one. There were even accordions meant to replace an entire orchestra. Just imagine, hundreds of accordions, all playing in harmony. That must be what heaven sounds like. Some of my favorite pieces were Piazzolla's original notes for Adios Nonnina, his bandoneon, and these cardboard records. Just across the square, there was another accordion that drew many visitors to Castelfidardo. Affectionately dubbed Fisarmonica Gigante and weighing in at around 200 kilograms, it is the world's largest accordion. Work on it finished in 2001, and its creator, Giancarlo Francella, installed a compressor to make the entire thing playable. Despite only possessing a passing familiarity with the keyboard, I couldn't pass up the chance to play it. With the instruments of the past and local sites behind me, there was only one final thing that I needed to see before making my decision. A factory itself. Thankfully, Pigini were kind enough to invite me to take a look at how their instruments are made. I was shown the wood that goes into every accordion, the reeds, the use of machines, and the assembly of internal mechanisms. As we made our way through the process of building an accordion, we ended on the final touches of master tuning. Now, it was up to me. I'd seen it all, but yet, part of me still felt that I was no closer to the perfect accordion than when I started. What if there was really no such thing? No one answer? It was then that I knew what had to be done. Soprani, Scandali, Frontallini, Victoria, Taranti, my head was filled with the sounds of beautiful accordions and choices. It was overwhelming.
All right!